Let's see, Tuesday the 7th. It's Tuesday the 7th, 2021. Welcome to the Randcast.
I like it.
You do like the Rand?
Why don't you just rename it the Randcast? I think that's better. You don't?
Yeah.
The Randcast. They got the, they got the Starcast and the podcast, and now there's the Randcast. I like the Randcast.
All right, we'll do the Randcast.
But you got to tighten. No longer. Okay, December the 7th, 2021. This day forward, formerly the PPW Premier Pro Wrestling Podcast. It is now known as PPW proudly presents the Randcast.
I like it.
Welcome to the Randcast, the first edition of the Randcast.
I like it.
Rand. Worldwide.
And where are we taping it?
From live from New York City.
No, live from the Randatorium.
Oh, the Randatorium. Yeah.
Me and Sweet Daddy Falcone, we made up the Randatorium shit in probably 1990, I couldn't sell it, but...
Well, now...
My first time walking into the Sportatorium, that was the coolest fucking thing ever,
Yeah.
Because the boys parked in back, we entered through the back, and that motherfucker was like sorry, I F-bombed. That building was dilapidated. It was an old beat-up-ass pole barn.
Uh-huh.
Basically, from the outside.
Yeah.
Now, we came in, it was decrepit, but I didn't notice that, man. That was the Sportatorium.
Yeah, I was pretty lucky. I got to work in a lot of buildings before they went bye-bye, too. I never got to work in the Sportatorium, but I did get to work in the Mid-South Coliseum.
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden, the Nashville Fairgrounds.
Fairgrounds is still there. Is anybody running it?
I don't think so.
Nah.
I'm trying to think. Some of the, like the Tulsa Fairgrounds, which was a big,
Tulsa.
Yeah, Oklahoma.
Who'd you do that for?
Vince? Yep.
Vince ran a building called the Fairgrounds? What was that like?
Mm-hmm. It was just a giant expo center at the fairgrounds.
How was it?
Kind of like Freedom Hall in Louisville. That's at the fairgrounds, but Freedom Hall's on the property.
I never worked that. Well, how were they compared to your, like the Nashville Fairgrounds?
Much bigger. Way bigger.
Okay.
Anyways, that was always cool, especially the Mid-South Coliseum,
We just used to make jokes about, like I'm a big, what was that movie? It was Andrew Dice Clay's first movie where he played a guy pursuing a girl. And the girl, I think, was Leah Thompson. Wait, Leah Thompson, who's that?
From Back to the Future.
Yes, so I got it right. Leah Thompson was a star in it, and then there was another girl. And then there was Andrew Dice Clay in that movie, and I forget the name of the movie. Maybe it'll come to me before we're done here. But anyway, it was about dating in the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
And the one was dating this gorgeous guy she met on an island, like beautiful and abs.
Oh, yeah,
and
I think
remember, he goes, no.
It's Leah Thompson and another chick.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
two chicks.
What's the name, though?
Casual Sex.
Casual Sex. And the funniest thing that was,
Is Dice in that?
Dice was that was his first movie.
Okay.
So
I just remember the broads.
he was a stand-up, making waves, and they booked him in that part in the movie. So anyway, the best part was when she finally gets him home, she realizes what a dummy he is, and he's not even a good, amateur yarder, independent musician, singer. He goes, no, I'm gonna be bigger than Elvis. So when that's what me and Sweet Daddy would do. It's like, I'm gonna be bigger than Lawler. We're gonna name it the Randatorium. Who would have thought 30-something years later we'd really have a place we call the Randatorium?
Now, I'm going to ask you some questions because I've been watching some Memphis from kind of when you were around.
Let's see if I can, if I can accommodate you.
Well, okay.
I'm coming back. I gotta find my phone and whatnot.
Now you
Casual sex. That was
you
cool.
told the story about when you went to Jerry Jarrett's house and Robert Fuller goes, Jerry Lawler will never get over as a heel. Just ask the kid.
He goes, well, the kid,
Was Lawler when you were there working heel, or was he babyface and they were thinking about turning him heel?
No, he was a heel. And
He was a heel. Okay, so I've been watching the television.
And we weren't drawn.
I've been watching the television of when they turned him heel.
Yeah, man, I had no idea. Rob set me up, but in a good way. I mean, really, he taught me how to do business, you know?
Yeah, and
So, exactly what happened, like...
I'm asking a question.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Yes, Jerry Lawler was a
That's
heel.
the first time he had been healed since the 70s.
Yeah.
Because they tried it again, I think, whatever.
The bottom line is...
Dying days in Memphis. After that, they turned him babyface again, and I think he had another heel run that didn't work.
Well, you want to know the real people? And we're talking about Memphis, and that's where the TV was out of. The real niche that would not buy Jerry Lawler as a heel was the black community.
Uh-huh.
They loved him.
Yeah.
No matter what. I think they might have loved him more when he was a heel. But go ahead.
Man, I just really loved some of the best Memphis television is the 2 series of Bill Dundee and Lawler, both loser leave towns. 83 they did it. That's when Dundee went to Watts. And I watched all the televisions building up to that. Then when he came back in 85, they did the same thing.
How long was he at Watts's?
A couple of years.
Did he book for Watts?
He booked for Watts.
Okay.
Didn't work. Booked.
You know, Bill Dundee...
And that was actually probably the hottest the Mid-South territory was at any point in time was actually when Dundee got the book. Because he brought in...
For Watts?
Yeah. Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express. He booked that angle. He used a lot of Memphis stuff. See... Watts at that time only believed in using big guys, believable people. So he
or
was
real wrestlers that could break the
right.
phone.
But when they brought in the Rock and Rolls and Midnights, it popped the territory because the people had never seen it. So Dundee used a lot of the angles they used in Memphis, which by industry standards are over the top. I mean, Memphis.
Those were also collective.
Oh, I'm sure.
Jerry would come up with something, and Jerry Jarrett.
They did
to
a
his
talent
credit,
trade. I think they traded in that trade. I think maybe I think Memphis might have got Rick Rude and somebody else.
Yeah.
And Watts got Cornette, the Midnights, and Rock and Roll.
Well, listen to this now. So at the time, everybody was more accommodating because they didn't know what the hell they were going to do with Vince Jr. Mm-hmm. Vince Jr. wanted to partner up, and they all laughed him out of the building, as Luke would put it.
Yeah.
And then when Vince started to get that national traction, they were all more accommodating with each other. They'd always been accommodating your NWA affiliates.
Yeah.
But yes, they became more
The
accommodating.
second loser leave town match, Lawler actually lost. I don't know how they got out of that. I don't know if he went away for a minute.
It's funny you mention that because I happened upon this by accident. Jerry the King Lawler, I don't know what he must have been doing, but they brought him back when they put Lawler and Dutch against... I just watched it. I'm such an idiot. Well, oh, man. So, okay, the whole thing started. I realized something, and we talk about paying dues and humility here. Jeff started out as a referee in Memphis.
Sure, everyone starts.
So the heels, and hopefully it'll come to me, what happened was Dutch was with the heels, and it was somebody, it didn't matter who, really. It was Jimmy Hart. It was Budrow. Yeah, it was Buddy Landell and Bill Dundee. Mm-hmm. So the first thing they did was start excessively pounding on the young boys that put them over on TV. Then they started beating the heck out of 18-year-old Jeff Jarrett as a referee. Mm-hmm. And then when Jerry came out to make the save, they beat the hell out of him. Yep. Dutch comes out, he makes the save, and then they get Jerry the King Lawler, who lost the Losers Leaves Town, to book him over the phone for that Monday night, Dutch and Lawler against... Dundee and Buddy Landell. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was funny you were watching because I happened upon something like that too.
Now the second loser leave town. It was if Lawler loses, he has to leave town. Mm-hmm. If Dundee loses, he gets his head shaved, and his wife gets her head shaved. Okay. She did promos leading into it because before that, they actually had done that angle before in the early '80s, where Dundee got his head shaved. The next week, his wife's hair was on the line, and she got her head shaved. Oh. So the second loser leave town, Dundee went over. They didn't get their head shaved. Lawler was out. So in 1989, they did turn Lawler heel. That was the television I was watching.
Yeah.
So you came in after. That was after you came in
during.
Well,
he was still a non-drawing heel.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So this would have been before because the television's right up to the point where he turned.
Yeah.
It's beautiful how they did it. Because really, I mean, the promos in
How they
Memphis are
turned
great.
it?
Yeah, because
wouldn't work.
it's all about. Well, I mean, it was.
Would have worked with any other guy.
Well, I mean, it was still good though the way they did it. It just the
Yeah.
people didn't buy it. But
They wouldn't,
the
man. They
biggest
love
thing,
Jerry
and
Lawler.
I'm an advocate of it too. The promos are a conversation. Everybody, Lawler had a point. His beef, but just the way he turned himself into a heel, he wasn't wrong, because his argument was. Dutch kept interfering, and after the fact, the heels, Soul Taker and Dirty White Boy, would come in
that's
and
about when I
interfere.
came
Would
in,
interfere on Lawler's match. Dutch would come out and make the save, but it ended up costing. Then the second time, it cost Lawler the match
What
by
was
disqualification.
Dundee doing then? 'Cause
Dundee was in the middle of it. Dundee was a babyface.
Because Dundee had the book.
Yeah, Dundee was in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Dundee was a babyface. So then they started doing a deal where Lawler would go over, the heels would start, Dutch would make the save, but they'd start kicking the shit out of Dutch, and Lawler wouldn't return the favor and just walk out.
Okay.
So then the people are like, well, why'd you do that? He's like, listen, I told everyone I don't want anyone to interfere in my matches. You didn't listen to me. It's not my fault that you got the shit kicked out of you.
Yeah.
So they just, it was really good.
Subtle.
But, so where was Lance Russell during that time? It was just Dave Brown.
I have no idea.
That was what I was trying to get to.
Dude, I was a kid now. I was a kid trying to turn a 3-day tryout into something. You know what I mean? And
But Lance wasn't around at that point either.
I don't think it was official for me at the time for a while. I just kept waiting till Wednesday nights to get my paycheck and my booking sheet. You know what I mean? So
Lance,
yes, I did notice Lance wasn't there, but I was too scared to ask.
Right. I just thought, he was, and then he wasn't there during the Lawler heel turn, so it was just Dave Brown. So was it just Dave when you were there?
Yeah, who Dave was not for the first time.
He's no Lance Russell. I mean, come on.
No, but he's pretty damn good.
No, Dave's good. I mean,
especially by himself.
Yeah, I like Dave Brown.
But don't forget, he was groomed by Dave Brown.
Lance Russell.
Lance Russell, sorry.
Of course.
But Lance, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't ask. He appeared and he disappeared for a while, and then he came back toward the end.
So the Memphis territory, when you were there, was it CWA or was it USWA?
Both.
It was both.
I was there the day that Buddy Welsh came with Ron Ford to get the last payment, so then Jerry could be full-time USWA.
Oh, okay. Because it was CWA during the...
That was a shoot. They did not rename it fully until that last payment was made for the name CWA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which was pretty cool because they didn't make that an angle or nothing. It was just, they were concerned about the rights and doing that, something like that, the right way,
I thought you went into Memphis twice. You only went in once?
Yes, I did. No,
you
I went
went
twice.
yeah.
First, as a heel. The way I got in
How
there,
long were both runs?
the first one was 9 months. Mm-hmm. I don't remember. The second one was 3 or 4.
Yeah, okay.
3 or 4.
How long after was it after your first run? How long did you go away and then come back?
Year and a half.
Okay, so you were there 89
I-
and then probably the end of 90.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay.
But, so what happened was I was calling Jerry, and that's when he and I became close. I call him every Sunday night. Every Sunday night, man, after Sunday family dinner. I'd have my family, sometimes I'd have my family dinner. He would have Sunday family dinner, go in the office and start thinking about the following week. So about 9 p.m. Central, I would call Jerry, and we'd talk, man, and he'd educate me. I'd ask the right questions about the business end of things. But I was just trying to get booked. I'm very lucky that I was able to retain those things. Jerry always thought I was smart, and that's why he would talk to me and ask my opinion on things. He'd say, as a wrestler, what's your opinion? As a fan, what's your opinion? He's so good at that.
Was Dutch there when you were there?
Dutch was in and out.
Okay.
He was not a constant the first time. Okay. So something makes me think he must have been screwing around in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, probably. So he was, when they turned Lawler heel, he was pretty much the driver in that angle.
Yeah.
Dutch was baby, and they turned Lawler heel on Dutch. So
Dutch was gone when I first got
you
there.
were there, right? So this was after the angle that they turned Lawler heel.
But Dutch, I think, would come home sometimes to be with Kathy to Murfreesboro, and then of course, you put Dutch on your spot shows. They weren't really doing angles or stories with him, but they would say, okay, tonight in whatever small town, Forest View, Arkansas, Dutch Mantell versus Rock and Randy from TV, and it would help.
Okay.
So I never talked with separate locker rooms. We didn't talk,
right.
and I just met Dutch in the ring and listened.
Yeah.
which was
I
good.
also liked. I mean, they used to use. I mean, on television they would show clips from the Mid-South, of course, on Monday night. But
that
they would
was most
also.
of the
They would
TV.
also. I mean, a lot of these TVs. I mean, I have seen these TVs before. I'm a big student of Memphis wrestling. Probably my favorite territory. And if you want to just look, I think Lawler might be the best ever. His promos, his work, it's so believable. God, these guys today could learn so much from just watching Lawler on Memphis television on how to talk.
He didn't do no 450s and shit.
No, but he took tremendous bumps though.
But they don't get
right.
it.
But you know what? He didn't do a 450. But man, the bumps
punches.
Lawler took. They would do the deal. One time, he would get thrown out of the ring, land on the fucking announce table.
Yeah,
I mean, Lawler was a tremendous bump taker, and his punches and
just
just the psychology.
too, the promos, like you said, but not
Even
just that.
Dundee too. Him and Dundee, awesome.
Let me say this, devil's advocate. The tone was set by Memphis crowd, Memphis television. And that Memphis TV really went into live. I mean, I think it might have been the Memphis TV channel that would go all the way into your Holly Springs, Mississippi's, and your Missouri and your Arkansas, because the signal was so strong. Mm-hmm. Now, Lawler was a baby there no matter what. Mm-hmm. But when you go north of Nashville and north, he was the heel.
Yeah.
So he did get heat there. The problem was that we would run 3 shows to equal one Memphis house show gate, or one Monday night gate. Mm-hmm. So that's what they were doing. They were very stressed at that time. Sure. Jerry was very stressed at that time how to pop the territory.
Well, that's what happens, though. You'll see
I'm
that.
a kid. I'm looking at Memphis. I'm seeing it 2/3 full going, what are they talking about?
I mean, sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
That's why they tried. That's why they kind of got desperate and probably tried turning him heel.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
Now, Jerry
he did that with Shane in Puerto Rico. He should have never turned heel. But they were kind of, business wasn't bad, but they were trying to think the turns had worked. The turns had worked before to pop the territory. So I think maybe they went to the well one too many
The one
times.
thing Jerry wouldn't do, was saving it, and I don't think he ever really did it, was turn Jeff Jarrett heel on his father. Yeah. They would have really bought that because Jeff was tepid as a baby. He was tepid. Well, turning him heel with Rob as a manager and going into the shoot family ties would have been hot. But Jerry just didn't want to take that.
Which goes back to an interesting thing. You sent me that clip of the Dutch interview. You wanna
Dutch. Which one again?
Just he talked about booking. It was you.
Oh yeah, just 5 or 8 minutes.
And it's good, and it's hard to do because you never know. Like, so when you're booking and sometimes you run the risk of going too long with an angle. He talks about you want to cut the angle off before the people do. Yeah. And sometimes that's tough because you don't know. Sometimes if you go with it longer, you may draw more. But I think that's really where the experience comes in from the booking standpoint, is knowing when to blow angles off before the people blow the whistle.
Well, let's go ahead and do this. This thing's the teaser, that's what we're taping now. Did I put the clock on? Oh.
It's been long enough.
All right. So let's go ahead and do this. And if it's been long enough, what can you see on there? What the minutes?
No,
are?
I just know.
Okay. Let's go ahead and you said what we're going to talk about. Well, hell, son. Let's go ahead and talk about Dutch Mantell.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. I was in the business 20-something years in 06. Mm-hmm. I worked with Dutch in the ring. I worked under Dutch when he was a booker for a stint. Dutch was the booker for me in Memphis the second time. And then Embry was the booker also during that time. They switched hats, which was cool. They're both great. But so 20-something years, I saw it, but I saw the business on the way down. I was just starting to go from business thinking, wrestler in ring, to business, okay? And when I went to work for TNA Impact, I did not want to go there. That was a last resort. My stuff was doing great. I had my little company that was paying for all of my bills and supporting my family, the 2 cars, the $300,000 house, okay? With just my little indie stuff. Now I was stepping out of my comfort zone, having that maintained, and trying to go into Puerto Rico and trying to put a deal together between Impact and Puerto Rico, where we brought Abyss down, where we brought Matt Morgan down, and we brought that other big kid that's working for AEW now, the great big kid that Jake was managing, Jake Roberts.
Oh, I don't know.
I know his name, but anyway. when they were green. And I mean, we're talking about abyss who they knew, and then you're talking about 2 7-footers. Imagine. And then working out a deal between IWA, who needed gringos, and TNA, who needed to train wrestlers. So I thought, well, I don't want to go to work there because I just foresaw things happen after I saw what I saw at XWF. And I thought, what am I going to learn from this experience? So I'm trying to put it on paper. I'm trying to put it on paper. Yes, it would be nice to have that guarantee. If I had that guarantee income, which was good, it was $90,000, that's good. But I would not be able to run my stuff. That would go to shit. Take the chance then, because at the time on the pro side was my ex's mother bought 80 acres in Centerville. So she gave her 20 acres. We had 20 acres on Centerville, but no power, no water.
Right.
So when I did all the math in 06, I could sell my house and custom build an equivalent on 20 acres and not have a mortgage. So I thought, well, you're an idiot. Don't be a mark. Take the job. And if it goes bad, you still got stuff in Puerto Rico. If you go there as an employee, you can still try to put that deal together. And if things go bad, that deal's dependent upon me. You know what I mean? So things went bad. One of the best parts about that, because I put my heart and soul into it, Kurt, I was just thinking about this. I would work so hard, so long, that I would, for the first time in my life, actually be dipping out and going to bed at 9 p.m. That never happened to me before. I didn't have to. I was like, fuck, I'm beat. You know what I mean? But one of the most awesome things was stimulation of actually working with Dutch that close, because I'm like, oh,
yeah,
I'm an asshole, because this should have been, and it was, the most important part about working there is Dutch's mind.
Yeah.
Now, Dutch Mantell, let's go ahead and talk about Dutch and Memphis, and we'll use Dutch as the thumbprint.
Yeah.
I think the only reason that Vince hasn't used him to book is because of his brashness, reputation, and being real country. But that guy's brilliant. Even to this day, I mean, he's sharp as a mother effing tack. It's funny because he can say what he said, and I can show you that video, but I was thinking that even if I showed you that and we're talking about it, no indie guys, including anybody, Tony Khan, could look at that and grasp it.
Oh, I mean, that's to an educated mind, or to people with experience that have been in this industry for a long time. Dutch is, I mean, you can learn so much. And now we talked about, he mentioned cut the angle off before the people cut it off.
Let's go ahead and cut here, and then we'll make them pay for that stuff on Patreon. And it's not make you pay like we're working you. It's help keep the doors open.
Right.
So